Hi everyone, and welcome to another Workshop Wednesday. My name is Emma. I'm a wellness coach here at Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and we are on week 3 of our April Wellness Challenge. And April is all about mastering the inner game and building our internal CEO. And I am so excited for today because we are giving another sneak peek of our Mastering the Inner Game, which is a self-paced course. We have videos on regulation, such as breath work and activities that you can incorporate into your daily routine. We have worksheets throughout the course that will help you along the way, setting goals, and we also talk a bit deeper about emotional regulation. And when we come from a regulated internal state, we're able to master our own inner game. We're able to effectively lead others. And Jen, our licensed mental health counselor, talked about this earlier, the state of executive function that we can come from with intention. Otherwise, we're getting overwhelmed, we are reacting rather than responding, and we're coming from a place of pressure and feeling like we're under this time pressure. Like we need to get it done now, we make a decision, and it ends up being something that is not actually helping us in the long run because those sorts of goals require that prefrontal cortex activation, which takes a little bit longer and does take practice, does take intention, which also we're so excited to launch this course because you are getting so much information about this and you're also learning how the survival patterns will keep you stuck and what to do to learn with them and to grow from nourished soil rather than depleted soil. Life is inevitably messy, and there are times where it feels like it's too much, we can't handle it, we can't even lead ourselves, so how can we lead others? But when we take a step back, take the pause, and learn about some of these tips and tricks, it can help us in our journey so much. And today we are learning more about the spectrum of emotional regulation, so stay tuned for the sneak peek preview and an activity to follow. And I look forward to seeing you next week, so let's get started on that video from Mastering the Inner Game now. In our framework, we break down emotional regulation into a spectrum. This spectrum on the screen has emotional mastery in the middle. It's displayed like this because we can either under or over express our emotions when we're emotionally dysregulated. On the left side of emotional mastery, we have our emotional suppression, and on the right side of emotional mastery, we have our overexpression of emotions. So let's dive into each of these. So over here on the left side of the spectrum is where we might be under-expressing our emotions. So in the orange is no emotional expression. This is minimal or no outward display of what we're feeling, and it's leaning towards ignoring or suppressing our emotions. Then we have logical emotional reactions. This is when emotions are acknowledged, but they're processed through strict logic and reasoning. These decisions that we make in this area are guided by rational thought and don't usually leave that room for emotional feeling. Adaptive emotional regulation. These are when emotions are recognized and we understand them internally, but we might mask them outwardly, which can cause more harm than good. Before we jump into emotional mastery, we're going to move way to the right side in the dark purple. This is high emotional expression. So these three that we're going through are going to be these overexpressions of emotion. So high emotional expression is emotions feeling intense or even overwhelming. Reactions are impulsive or disproportionate to the situation. For reactive emotional regulation, there's some awareness of our emotions, but the responses we make are still reactive. These efforts to manage our emotions can be inconsistent or situational. Then with emerging regulation, this is a growing awareness of our emotional patterns, an increased ability to pause and reflect before responding instead of going towards that reactionary tendency. And then for emotional mastery here in the middle, this is clear awareness and acceptance of our emotional states, and then also the capacity to pause, choose, and recover with resilience in moments of high stress. And once you've figured out where you might fall on this spectrum of emotional regulation, This slide is going to be about some of the goals that you could shape an action step around, so still leaving that space to come up with something that works for you, but with a little bit of guidance. So if you fall into the no emotional expression category, a goal could be to increase awareness of internal emotions and practice safe, healthy expression. For logical emotional reactions, a goal related to this could be to integrate emotional awareness with logic to strengthen empathy and relational connection. Or in other words, maintain a logical balance while still nurturing empathy and emotional connection with yourself. For adaptive emotional regulation, a goal could be to build comfort with authentic emotional expression while maintaining grounded self-control. Then over on the right-hand side, for high emotional expression, a goal is to increase clarity and awareness of our emotions while reducing impulsive reactions. For reactive emotional regulation, a goal is to develop the ability to pause, reflect, and choose responses rather than reacting automatically. For emerging regulation, a goal is to strengthen consistency in emotional awareness and regulation practices. And finally, for emotional mastery, a goal is to sustain emotional stability and flexibility while responding intentionally to life's challenges. Overall, this spectrum reflects common emotional patterns people experience depending on stress load or capacity to emotionally regulate. The goal of the spectrum of emotional regulation is to really become aware of where we are and then move one step closer to emotional mastery. It's not about skipping the step and going directly there, but finding that action-oriented step to meet us exactly where we are. Remember that becoming aware of our patterns is a vulnerable task, and we're in the process of acceptance. When we consistently practice our skills on emotional regulation, we build stronger connections to our prefrontal cortex. This is how we respond instead of react when bad brain inevitably comes up.